I am Nomad. I am perfect.
For even more Atari fun, head over to Atari.io. It's Atari-tastic.
Command the Enterprise. Play Star Trek. Welcome aboard, Captain.
Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator. Oh man, I remember when this came out in my arcade. I was all over this game. I've always loved vector graphics game, and having a game that was Star Trek themed was right up my alley. The first version of this game I played was, of course, the stand-up arcade version. That was the most common one. A lot of fun to play. My favorite version of the game to play, though, is the sit-down cabinet. You actually sat like in a little chair. You had the little control on to one side and your 4 action buttons on the other armrest. And it was actually a really good setup. Plus, it had a bass speaker that was mounted underneath the seat, so the explosions would rumble through you as you played the game. It had some great stereo speakers inside as well. The only time I've seen this sit-down version of the game was at my local arcade, and there was one actually out at the Pinball Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. So if you ever go out to Las Vegas, go visit the Pinball Museum, and you'll find the sit-down Star Trek games in there as well. Give it a spin if you've never tried the sit-down version. You'll be pleasantly surprised on how cool it really is. But some of the stuff I liked about the arcade game was the very colorful graphics. You know, vector graphics are just so vibrant. I really like the look of them. And plus, the sound effects were outstanding. My favorite sound effect in the arcade game is the Photon Torpedo. It sounds just like the sound effect used in the Star Trek movie itself when they fired the Photon Torpedoes. So I thought that was a really cool little detail that that Sega stuck into the game. And of course, when it gets out there, it explodes in an expanding ball to destroy anything within its blast radius. Comes in real handy when you have a bunch of Klingon cruisers all grouped up together. You can take them all out at once. The laser sound effects were okay. They were passable. I liked the varied gameplay where you had to, save your star bases, of course, and then you had to fight Nomad, the evil computer that flew around in space. I can't remember what episode of Star Trek that was on, but it came from the Star Trek series. And of course, Nomad will lay down these mines that you have to avoid. You have to be careful if you shoot one. If you're too close and get into that explosion radius, it'll take away a shield unit. It can do a lot of damage to your ship fairly quickly. And as the game progresses, it just gets progressively harder and harder. You have extra things pop out, like there's this UFO that'll come out and you'll see it following you around the screen. Well, that will take away some of your energy, your warp energy away from you if it gets up onto you. So you want to make sure you destroy that as quickly as you can so it doesn't get into you. And of course, you can dock with your star base to get 1 unit of power back, a photon torpedo back, and some warp energy as well. If you don't dock with a star base, you get extra bonus points when you finish the level. So a good strategy early in the game is not to dock with the base where you still got all your full energy and try to get some of those extra bonus points. You'll notice there's like 2 different types of Klingons on the screen. You have ones that are in red. Those go right for the star base to start shooting it, to destroy it. And the purple ones will start coming after you. So one of the things I try to do is I try to go after the red Klingon cruiser first so I can fly around and have time to destroy the purple ones. But don't take too long, because if you do, the remaining Klingon cruisers will go into like a hyperspeed. They'll turn white and they'll come right for you. So you can't really spend too much time on a certain level before that happens to you. Now, I remember reading about this game in the Electronic Games magazine back then. I had a subscription to it, and I loved that magazine. And I saw an advertisement for Star Trek, the video game, coming to the 2600. I go, oh, I got to have this, because I love arcade ports to the 2600. Anytime I saw one back then, I would typically pick it up. Being in 1983, I was already working a part-time job while going to school, so I had my own money. to buy cartridges and everything. So this is one I definitely wanted to buy. When it finally showed up at my department store, I picked it up immediately and ran home with it. It is a little bit different from the arcade game graphically wise. It has the same kind of layout where you got your overhead map of the sector, and your fuel, and your photon torpedoes on the left-hand side, the little crosshair piece down at the very bottom. And it's not vector graphics, which I didn't expect it to be on a Atari 600 cartridge. But the gameplay is there. And it actually plays really nice. They did come with a really cool little overlay that you put on your joystick. Because you have to remember, they try to take an arcade game that had a rotary dial and 4 buttons and make it work on a 2600 that had a 4-way joystick and 1 button. And so basically what they did is have left and right for your control, left and right. You push forward for thrust, pull back for a photon. In order to have hyperspeed, you would push down the fire button and pull back on the joystick, and that would give you the hyperspeed drive. It was kind of cumbersome to be playing this game with that overlay on the joystick, so I never really used it when I played the game. I just laid it down in front of me so I could refer to it quickly if I forgot what did what. But what's cool about the 2600 game is they included some extra levels that the arcade game didn't have. Of course, you have Nomad that you have to fight, just like the arcade version. And of course, when you fight Nomad and you win, it makes this really cool rainbow effect on the screen, and then it plays some of the Star Trek theme music, which is pretty neat. I really like that. But some of the other levels it has is you have an asteroid level where you got to fly around and avoid these asteroids and try to dock with your star base to get some extra, photon torpedoes and shield units and things like that. There's also another level that's the Comet Level, which is just like the asteroids. We have comets, and they move a little bit differently and are a little bit faster. I kind of like they added those extra levels into the home versions of the Star Trek arcade game. Adds a little bit more fun, I believe, to the game. I still love this game to this day. It's one of my favorites on the 2600. I've also got on my ColecoVision too, and I'm really loving on that. But this is all about the 2600 version. So let's take a look at what came in the box.
Star Trek! Strategic Operations Simulator, the official arcade version for the Atari 2600 and compatible systems. What a nice port of the arcade game to the Atari. I remember when I first got this game, it just blew me away that they were able to do such a good job on the Atari on a really fun arcade game that I really enjoy. Love this artwork on this box. Very awesome. They did a really good job on the artwork. This came from KB Toy and Hobby for $23.98. And this does include the exclusive Combat Control Panel overlay. We'll be looking at here in just a second. On the back of the box, shows a nice screenshot of what the game looks like on the 2600. Basically looks like the arcade game, but the graphics are really scaled down, which, it's 2600, you got to expect that. But the gameplay is there. It plays really, really nice. Of course, we got a little story here, which, I love these little stories. Let's read it. You've seen Star Trek on your TV set before, but never like this. Now you command the fate of the USS Enterprise in this home version of the hit arcade game. You're training to become a Federation starship captain. Fight off deadly Klingon battlecruisers that threaten the existence of your starbases. Skillfully navigate through the perilous asteroid fields and comet storms. Prepare to encounter the most powerful enemy of them all, Nomad. Hours of challenge await you. If you dare go to venture where no home video game has ever dared to go. The only thing this doesn't have is, of course, the speech. I love the speech in the arcade game. But, it's not a big deal. It's still a very fun game to play. So let's open up the box here. And look at the cartridge. Here's the cartridge. Got that cool artwork on the cartridge, too. This is a really good-looking cartridge. I have to say, I need to do like a top 10 list of favorite 2600 box art. I think it'd be a cool little video to do. Very unique design here. It says Sega on the back. Pretty cool. Let's see the instruction manual. Ooh, awesome. Full color manual, yes. But it's the kind that likes to fold all the way out, so it just lays clear across your desktop. Of course, you know, it is full color, which I love. And I like the little details they put here in the background. They did a good job laying this manual out. Pretty awesome. Goes through the scoring, your shield force indicator, how to play the game, using your controllers, navigating the meteor storms to get extra, you know, hits for your photon torpedoes, everything like that. Fighting Nomad. Oh, strategic tips. Yeah, Nomad. Yeah, Nomad, be patient. Observe Nomad's movement. Yeah, that guy's kind of hard to hit. And of course, it shows some of their upcoming games. Congo Bongo, Buck Rogers. Pretty awesome. Now, here's what came with the original cartridge. You can tell this has never been used because the center has not been punched out yet. So basically, you lay this down over your joystick. Pause. I'll get a joystick. So basically, you punch the center of this out, put this down over your joystick, and it would just sit, you know, down on your joystick as you play the game. I have found that, you know, this thing kind of gets in the way as you're playing the game and it flops around and stuff. Basically, you can just use this, sit down in front of you and just see what the controls are. It's not very hard to figure out how to use the controls on this game. Of course, you know, push forward on the joystick is thrust. Left and right turning, you have fire. If you pull back, you fire Photon Torpedo. If you hit fire plus pull back on the photon, you get your hyper warp. It's kind of neat they included it in there. I didn't really use this, even on my own version. I had this at one time, and I don't really feel like punching this out just to stick it on there. You basically get the gist of the idea of how it works. That's Star Trek, the Strategic Operations Simulator for the Atari 2600. Thanks for watching. Rats. 321,900 points. Awesome.
It's inhuman.